Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and I'm happy to announce that Chess in Europe is finally back. In the last few weeks I've played 2 tournaments, one in Geraardsbergen, which I will go over right now, the second one in Bruges. I have to say both of the tournaments went pretty well. I'm really happy with the tournaments I played. I had the chance to play against extremely strong players, the kind of level I usually don't get to play against. It was a very nice experience and I'm happy it just went well. Of course I had some extremely poor games as well, and I think just all of the games will be incredibly instructive. Let's have a look at this game. So this game is the first game I played, the very first game from the first tournament. I'll give you some context. Basically I was staying with 10 friends in the same place. We were just all enjoying chess. The combination of just having fun, enjoying chess, as well as being able to play a tournament is just perfect. My first opponent from the first game is Mr. The Block. I was in the car when I first saw my pairings. I quickly looked online, whatever I could find from him basically, and pretty quickly I found his online account. I immediately found, it's also a very strong player of course, but that he was very strong theoretically. I knew if I would go into a King's Indian defense with black, which I ended up doing as well, that he would be theoretically very well prepared. I looked at some of the lines he played on his online account and I tried to prepare something along these lines. Okay, without further ado, let's actually look at the game. We played a King's Indian, and already I saw also what he played online. So I just go through the opening moves fairly quickly because this is just mainline theory. White takes the center while I just play my usual King's Indian setup. So these are all the moves that were played in the game. Bishop e2, which is standard, e5. This is all normal. Castles, and in this position I still follow the main line with knight c6, d5, knight e7, even though I think if I had to play again against an opponent like this, who is so strong theoretically, actually what I would do is I'd probably play some sideline. I just should have some different ideas to surprise my opponent, but since I didn't really have that, I just played what I played usually. This is what I know best. And so this is called the Orthodox variation of the King's Indian. And so in this position already, for example, b4 is a really big line, the bayonet attack. But this is still kind of the main line if you would follow it up with bishop to e3. So for example, after this, bishop to e3, this is something that is played a lot. If I'm not mistaken, it's called the Mar del Plata variation. And the point is to keep this bishop on this diagonal. My opponent in the game didn't go for that. Instead, he went for this move very quickly, knight to d3. And now it's not possible for this bishop to keep standing on this diagonal. To be honest, if I didn't look at his games, I would have been out of buck right here, because I've never seen this move before. I looked at his games and I prepared some stuff. So okay, f5 is logical, I have to break. Bishop to d2. Well, the plan is just to develop the bishop in order to get the rook active. Knight to f6 played, just getting the knight active. f3. F4. The difference really is that since I don't have this tempo, so that the bishop has to go back, white has an extra tempo to play a move like c5 immediately. But basically white is up a tempo by just placing his dark square bishop on a worse square, which I think is actually very sensible. Just to have an idea, I played in the game 19 moves of theory, and he played even more. So he knew this line just very well. Like rook c1 was played, knight g6, knight to b5. Basically what you want to do with black is bring your rook over to defend this pawn, as well as after this move it's possible to bring your bishop back in order to defend this pawn. So this is a very logical plan, which I also prepared beforehand. Now the bishop comes down here to attack this pawn, and believe it or not, this was all prepared, I guess, by both of us. So all of these moves were played. Takes on d6. You're not able to take the bishop because white would have way too much compensation on the queen side, so you can't really afford to do that. You have to take here. The bishop comes down there, putting pressure on this pawn, and now bishop to f8, defending the pawn. I prepared, I think, mostly for this move, which is rook to c6. He ended up not playing this, instead this move. Well, he still knew what he was doing. He was still like, I don't know how much time he had, but he was kind of blitzing blitzing out everything. Maybe not blitzing out everything, but I think he had like an hour and 25 minutes. And so did I. I think I started thinking from this point on, basically. At this point, I didn't know what I was doing. And this is move 19. And in this position, I ended up playing some more very good moves. G4, knight to B4, very sensible. You know, get some squares for the knight. In this position, I went with I think the right plan of just taking. You have another idea, which I played in another game, which is to push the pawn. I think just in this case, I won't have enough compensation for that, but it's still interesting though. I think taking is a little bit more precise. Usually you have to take with the bishop, which also in this case is the better move. But in the game, my opponent pretty quickly took with the pawn. To be honest, I don't know if my opponent was still in preparation. I think he just had to be, because after the game, I mean, I played in this position at h5, and my opponent after the game, he told me that bishop to h3 was more precise, and when I checked this with an engine, it turns out to be correct, right? So I need to control these squares first. It's also a very sensible move, of course, but I don't know if he was still in preparation or not. If he was still in preparation, that's just crazy, because that means that he played this move, which is slightly less accurate than bishop takes, on purpose. To be honest, this is the most moves of preparation I've ever played in a game. It was very interesting, but you know, after this move, g takes, I think I'm doing pretty well. This move is slightly worse than this one, but I think I'm still having some great attacking ideas in this position. King h1, rook g7, just bringing my rook into the attack, and rook to g1. And now I went for this move, which is a6. This knight is quite annoying, but it was more with the idea of trying to bring this rook into the game like this. My opponent went for this plan, I went for this move, knight to c4 was played. I wanted to play this move, which is correct. The problem is, if he took, I was not able to take back with the rook. My idea was that I had to be able to play this move in order to take back with the rook. So let's have a look in this line, right after takes, rook takes. In this position, it's slightly better to take back with the king, just to make sure that I keep defending this pawn. I'm winning in this position because this is a big threat. But I didn't calculate this precisely. This is completely winning for black. During the game, I was not sure. I saw moves like these, which are not doing anything, but in my head, I just couldn't make it work. Before I played this move, basically, what I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to defend this rook first. The problem is I can't do it right now because of this fork. I decided in the game to first play this move, which is just too slow. And my opponent played very accurately, bishop f2, rook to a7, right? I'm ready to play this move, but now this move, my attack is over. I can't do anything. So basically what I learned from this game is that I'm too slow. White is quick enough to stop my attack. The thing is, also in the game, I calculated this. I was not exactly sure, but I thought it was working. In the game, I thought that these moves, right, they wouldn't make much of a difference. He could take a pawn. That's what I thought. Well, he found the right defense, and well, what can I say? Nothing is really working in this position. I just have to take it. But now my whole attack is over. I played a really lame move, actually. I was just thinking for 15 minutes. I was thinking for such a long time also in these positions, but I just couldn't make anything work here. I just played this, which is an incredibly lame move. I should have still gone for this, but it's not working because I saw that this would have been too strong. Just attacking the knight. In this position, I would have to go for something like this, maybe. Maybe if I would have seen... I saw all of this, but I didn't think it would be working. Something like this seemed... I probably had to go for it anyway. It's not working for black, but okay, I can try some stuff, like maybe queen to g6, trying to... In this exact position, I went here to defend the pawn, even though it's attacked twice. I don't know what I was doing. He just played this, and my knight is trapped. So now I'm forced actually to play this. I can't defend my knight, so I have to give it up in the best possible way. So I just played on for a few more moves. Okay, my knight has a good square. Okay, I played on for a few more moves. So takes, rook takes, queen h4, because, well, the queen was attacked. And now I thought, well, let's just try and trick him with this move. Well, he's a pretty strong opponent, so he's not falling for that. He just took my rook due to the same tactical motif we've seen before. And then, well, after this and this, I think I played a few more moves in this position, and then I resigned the game. I mean, my opponent played a good game. I just missed my chance in the game to, you know, to win the game basically. And I had a pretty big chance. Okay, so without any further ado, I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope to see you in the next round. Bye.